Are we live, Emily? Live and in person. Here it is. All happening. Kev, thanks for coming back, man. It's good to see you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be back.
Yeah.
I know.
Thank you.
We're just glad to have you.
Cool.
Fresh off Terrificon, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. You've been going to, it feels like constantly, you're just doing signings, going to conventions. Does that cut into your actual drawing time a lot?
I mean, I'm drawing the whole time I'm there anyway, so
Yeah.
like taking me away from like a book, yes, but not drawing.
Got you.
Yeah.
You still get to flex those muscles.
They're beefy.
Oh, yeah, brother. Oh, yeah. They could tell. It might be a little below the camera line right now, but people can tell.
I'm feeling swole right now. It might be the margaritas and gluten, or it might be, you know, the thick lead-filled blood that pumps through these veins.
Could be a mix of both.
Yeah.
It's a dangerous combination.
But I just got to get this out of the way. The Turtles cover that you just did.
Oh,
Dude.
this one?
Yeah, that bad boy. I love this for a couple reasons. First, I don't remember exactly when it was. I want to say it was like over a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
You posted on Instagram, like, how have I not done a Ninja Turtles cover before?
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that and I was like, oh shit, how haven't you done one? Because I feel like your style lends itself particularly to the Turtles. Like, this cover, just in case they didn't see it on the other camera, is so sick. The other thing I love about it, that is a buffalo slice of pizza right
Hell
there,
yeah.
baby.
Yeah, it's cup and char
Cup
all
and
the way.
char.
Cup and
Yep.
char,
Cup and
baby,
char.
finally. And you know, yeah, you gotta get the cup and char represent for the Turtles. And also, you got the classic from like the cartoon when they go out and like in their disguises or whatever, man.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I haven't seen this look since watching the VHS tapes back in the day.
Yeah.
We'd rent them from the library and stuff.
There you go. Yeah, man. Yeah. So like when I'm pitching to do like a cover or something, I always know like what everyone else is gonna do, if that makes sense. Like I knew there was gonna be a ton of covers for that issue because it's number one, it's Turtles, and I know that everyone is gonna do the 4 turtles like jumping on a rooftop.
Yep.
It's so like cliche at this point, so I'm doing the opposite, and I kind of had this idea like. Well, actually, I got to give credit to my brother because he was like, what if you make them in the movies? And he's like elated to see a movie. And I'm like, started making the wheels turn, you know what I mean? And I was a kid when the first Turtles movie came out. So like I tapped into my inner child, and then that's me as like a 3-year-old. You know what I mean? That's my life experience. And that's what I wanted to do. And I think that's what makes it stick out from everyone else's, take on it.
Oh, yeah, 100%, man. Is that usually your approach when you're trying to do a new cover, a variant cover, is like first recognize what people are going to do, try and do something totally different?
My approach is to always try to do something different. Maybe what my strengths lack in certain areas, I feel like or my weaknesses in other areas, I feel like I try to pull strengths out of other areas. So I possess like a keen design sense, and really good at like doing compositions. And lately I've been hyper focused on dynamics. I'm not saying the word.
Oh, we know
dynamics.
What you're saying.
I'm focused on dynamics, but also emotion and rendering. So yeah. So that's kind of how that came to be. It's just thinking outside the box and just thinking of, I know everyone's going this way. I want to go that way just so I stick out more.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like you have this experience, but I feel like it's got to be difficult for a lot of people, especially if it's like their first big cover for like a huge franchise like Turtles, not to do something cliche.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the jumping off build, that's a first cover of Turtles #1,
right.
the OG, right? So,
right.
I mean, I feel like if you're a huge fan of that, it can be difficult to pull away from that clichéness.
Everyone plays a safe route, and that's the route I want to play in it the least. I like things dangerous. I like things crazy. I like kind of the road less traveled. It's usually more rewarding, more fun, and you got a cooler story to tell.
Oh, 100%, man. I feel like, I mean, especially we've been able to look back. I mean, any industry that you're in, with the internet now, there's so many archives of things. Like, it's so easy to see what's been done before. The idea of playing it safe, I just can't imagine the draw of that to people. Like, why they actually want to do that today.
These are properties with a lot of corporate interest. So, you know what I mean? They have to. They have so many guidelines and restrictions and stuff that, like, that's all that you're allowed to do.
Damn.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Like, all right, so for instance, this portrait, I was originally going to have all the different movie snacks on the pizza. It wasn't going to be a pepperoni pizza. It was going to have, like, gummy worms and snow caps and popcorn and stuff on it. But you know what I mean? Like, Nickelodeon doesn't own the rights to gummy worms. Gummy worms might be, copyrighted by another company and so on and so forth. So, I mean, no one really owns pepperoni. The only
Not yet.
The only person that owns pepperoni is my belly. So, and not very well, but that means. So like you got to think about things from that perspective too, when you're kind of approaching these ideas.
I have a question, and Andy is obviously more of our resident comic book expert. So when when there's a project like the Turtles cover, I guess, how does that come about from the start? Like, are you hearing about it through somebody? Is somebody reaching out to you and say, hey, we want to have people, submit designs? Like, where does that process start, I guess? So
it's a little bit of both. I'm pretty deep in the industry at this point where I kind of know, I have a little bit of inside information, but not a ton. But it's a different game too. Like I have contacts with different, I'm trying to think of the word, representatives.
Yeah.
Through different companies and stuff. And I kind of, you can kind of see what they have coming up and what you can work on and stuff like that. And you can kind of, it's almost like doing like a job bid.
Yep.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So certain jobs you can bid for, you can get, you can't get. You have to be at a certain level to get certain things, which sucks because, like, I know I would kill any project brought to my attention, but, like, some dickhead in upper management, I don't know the guy, so I'm not going to let him do it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, so it's,
but he doesn't even
real,
take the time to look type of thing.
Yeah. So there's a lot of that too. There's a lot of gatekeeping. It's shitty. But for me, it's like I know people in certain places, and I hear things, and I'm always looking. Like, I'm constantly working, so even when I'm not doing anything, like, I'm literally probably talking to like 7 different people, messaging people, emailing people. I'm searching up things, getting requests, talking to people. Like, I can't even tell you the amount of people I've talked to in this industry in like the past 2 weeks alone.
Yeah.
And like crazy properties I'm trying to get my hands on and stuff, and like, and I'm talking like $1 billion properties. I'm talking to representatives like every day.
Yeah, just kind of like making sure they know that you're ready when
like
they need
literally
you.
Walking into this interview, when I was on my phone, I was talking to someone about a very big property and pushback. You know what I mean? It's like, bro, you don't understand. You see me grinding, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's less than 10% of what I'm trying to do. Less than 10%. It's so much failure. Like, so much failure. I don't talk about it, but it is so much fucking failure. And it is like a weaker person would crumble. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you just kind of think about it like that.
That's interesting because you seem like such a confident dude.
I am.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm good at it.
Yeah, right. And it's gotta just add to your confidence, I assume, every time you draw something to see a physical representation of, I mean, I'm sure you can look back through drawings and see your progression like that, which I think is pretty unique to your skill set and to your type of art specifically.
Yeah, for sure.
That's got to be cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, 100%, man. I mean, I love, I tune into some of the live stuff that you do too.
Yeah.
Like once a week or however often you do it, when you're just drawing with some other artist on IG Live and stuff like that. That's really, really cool.
Yeah. Well, it forces you to keep your game up.
Yeah.
And being accountable. You know what I mean? And that's just stuff I'm willing to share. That's not like the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, sure.
You know?
So then you mentioned like with the Turtles cover and kind of the slice of pizza and stuff. So how often, I guess, you know, when you're working with bigger companies and corporations and stuff like that, does that happen in terms of like pushback? Well, hey, we really like your design, but, you know, can you tweak this? And at what point do you say, like, respectfully, like, this is the design I came up with for a reason? Like, how does that work?
Yeah. It's been happening more and more, actually, which is crazy. I think what happened is, like, if you were to timeline this, like, 2022 is when I started getting a lot of covers, right? A lot of cover work. And it was basically the Wild Wild West. Like, a sponsor, someone that wanted to put their logo on the book would contact me and say, hey, I want to do this cover. I want you to do the artwork. We'll get this many copies, da-da-da-da. I'll do all the business. Okay, cool. So I'm doing that, like, every month. Well, the thing is people seeing one group of people being successful and trying to copycat that, right? So next thing you know, there's a shit ton of different, books coming out with all these different covers and stuff. And that mixed in with the, I don't know if you would call it a recession, but like late 2022, 2023, like the market just dipped real hard. And it kind of like leveled out how business was. So while these companies are trying to figure everything out and kind of build it back up, they realize, maybe it just can't be a free-for-all. Like, yeah, we're getting money, but it's overall going to hurt the industry as a whole.
Yeah.
So now there's way more restrictions and guidelines, and it's harder to make these deals go through. And even when you're playing it safe, it's still hard to make it go through.
Yeah.
That being said, I've lost covers that were approved before the cover went to print. Maybe there was an editorial change or something, and they said, hey, we're not putting this through. So it really sucks because it doesn't matter. Like, the art can be beautiful, right? If it doesn't serve that editor's agenda or whatever they're pushing, it's gone.
Yeah.
So I've had that happen to me, and that really sucks. And that, like, it just makes you not want to do it. You know what I mean? Then you get other times where it's like, okay, homage covers are big, right? So you'll want to do an homage cover, and you'll do it exactly the way you think it should be, and it matches the original, so they want you to change it till it's unrecognizable anymore. Well, what's the point of doing an homage if I'm going to change it to that point?
Yeah.
So that happens too. So I don't know. It's a real gray area trying to do that stuff, especially with higher profile stuff. And for me, it's like I'm pushing to only do high profile stuff.
Yeah.
I'm doing this too long to be getting, dicked around. So, it's got to be high profile, or I'm really just not interested.
Yeah.
So that being said, you
got to find a way to kind of cope with it. Like, hey, if you want to work on the more high profile stuff, it comes with a little bit more red tape type thing.
For sure. And a lot of it's like, really? Like,
yeah.
I got to change that. Like, it's like real minimal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I mean? Like, we do it because we love it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's just like everything else, man. It's a popularity game. It's, how famous are you? You know what I mean? Like, how much pull do you have? Who do you know? It doesn't change. It doesn't matter what industry it is. It's all the same anywhere, in anything.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Like, what work have you done in the past? Who are your current customers? Oh, if you were good enough for them, are you good enough for us still type thing? Yep. No, I get what you mean. It's interesting though, like from a not necessarily huge comic book person myself, like the homage covers, I think. So, and I guess I could be wrong, but my understanding when you're doing homage covers, it's like a new cover for an issue that already exists, right? Is that kind of what it is?
No, not usually. I mean, usually it's a new cover for a new series or a new title or a new.
If I could
new
show
issue.
Matthew this, for example.
Yeah.
So this is from Kevin's Tough Stuff thing.
Yep.
This is an homage to Wolverine 50, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
So the Wolverine 50 from whenever the fuck that came out, 90 or something like that, looks like this.
Gotcha.
Except now it's got kind of like a Tough Stuff lens on it.
Yeah.
You dig?
Yeah. So I get what you're saying. So it's like for a new book, but it's like a tip of the cap to an old book.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
So the editors and stuff, they like that because it's a familiar thing, so they think it's easier to sell.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like, like you said, tip to the cap, but it's like they think it's just easier to sell.
Yeah.
Which I would have to agree as a consumer. I mean, I was just telling you, I love homage covers.
Okay, but which do you like better of these two?
Oh, I
Honestly.
mean, you know
But that's
the
an
answer.
original.
Yeah,
that's my original
100%.
composition. So it's harder to get an original to get approved.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. But then it's like how many times can we homage the same thing?
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I love doing homages. Don't get me wrong. I do a ton of them. I love putting my take on someone else's, famous composition and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's like I gotta express myself too.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm gonna make the thing that's gonna get homage next. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'd rather be that person.
Yeah. Which I agree with.
Oh, of course.
Is what you strive for. Yeah. The only comic books that I ever really had myself growing up were the Simpsons comic books, and Andrew has since explained to me that most of their covers were homages.
I don't know about most of them, but like Comic Book Guy #1 that Matthew had and he gave me a little while ago. It's an homage to Fantastic Four #1.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
actually pretty sick.
Yeah.
Comic book guy coming out of the ground. Folks, I just want to take a minute to mention that I am a guest on another podcast called the Fine Dining Podcast. Flew down to New York to meet a good buddy of mine, Mike, to do his show where he goes around trying to find the most mediocre meal in America. And this time around, we went to Perkins on Staten Island. It was incredible. He's got an amazing show, so make sure you check it out. Link's going to be in this episode description. Give him a follow. Check it out. Fine Dining Podcast, YouTube, Instagram. And it was super fun doing his show, so I'm sure I'll do it again. And if you watch that and you still have not had enough of me, be sure to check out our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/snackspot. We've got a lot of episodes of the Captions On podcast up there, as well as the short-lived Too Dangerous for the Public Bad Directions podcast. Link to that is going to be in this episode description as well. And of course, the best part is it's only $3 a month. $3 a month. You get all that content. And of course, it helps us out a ton. So once again, check that out. Links in the description to both of those things. And of course, patreon.com/snackspot. Folks, you know what I always say. Why go out when you can stay in? All right. And the good news is you can stay comfortable, stay cozy on the couch, stay focused on whatever you're doing. Maybe you got like a paper or something for work that you really got to work on. You're burning the candle at both ends, all right? You don't have time to go to the grocery store, okay? You're too busy climbing that corporate ladder. The good news is you can stay cozy or focus on work, and you don't have to get distracted by going to the grocery store because you can have not just groceries, but some of your favorite local products from some of your favorite local stores delivered right to your front door when you use Instacart. But the best part is right now, Two in the Cooler listeners get free delivery on their first order of $10 or more. All you have to do to get that deal is hit the link in this episode description, start making life a little easier on yourself, and use Instacart today. Folks, if you want to do something nice for yourself that actually also helps us out, helps support the show, you can check out all the great merch that we have got over at snackspot.se/creator/teespring.com. Hoodies, t-shirts, long sleeve shirts, not just apparel, but we've got a lot of cool accessories and things as well. Pint glasses, mugs, slides, fanny packs, notebooks, all kinds of awesome stuff, whatever it is you're looking for this podcast, as well as the Schemin' and Dreamin' pod and Quested, the other two shows that we produce right here. So go ahead, check that out. The quality, by the way, of this merch, we're not shorting you on this, okay? Because I hate personally when I order something from a show or a service or an organization that I'm a fan of, and it comes and it's the cheapest shirt possible, which, hey, they want to make a buck, that's fine. I get it, but it's gross when you get something like that in the mail, especially when you're excited to, represent something that you really enjoy. And then you pull the shirt out of the box or the bag, and it's just disgusting. It fits like a cardboard box. You can't even wear it. You try to wash it. It shrinks down to the size of a bib. No way. Not with us, people. All right? This is top quality merchandise. Tri-blend material. And I'm talking Target quality. Okay? So again, check that all out for yourself. Hit the link in this episode description or visit snackspot.se/creator/teespring.com. And if you're interested in advertising on this show or our twin show, Schemin' and Dreamin', you can email us at snackspotsports@gmail.com for details on how you can start reaching thousands of listeners in the Buffalo area and beyond. Podcast advertising has been shown by Forbes to be up to 19% more effective than your traditional ads. This is, TV, newspaper, and stuff. And there's a lot of reasons for that. But it's very cool to see the results when you have companies like McDonald's and State Farm, NASCAR moving into the podcast ad space. It's very interesting to see companies of that size with ad budgets like that, that are doing spots on the Super Bowl, move away from the more traditional television, newspaper, whatever, into podcast advertising. I think it says a lot about the effectiveness of it. The problem is it hasn't really enabled smaller or even local businesses to get in on the action. But that's what we are here for. That's what we're all about. So again, if you're interested in learning more about all the benefits of podcast advertising, hit us up. Reach out to us at snackspotsports@gmail.com. Going to all these cons and stuff as you do, talking with people, meeting everybody. Have you talked to any vets? Have they given you any advice about what you're talking about here?
Yeah, like I've gone out to dinner with a lot of vets and stuff like that. They're only gonna impart with you so much. So I think for me, it's more or less they're trying to actually learn from me, because they all have the old school mentality. Like, and I'm talking about, like, if I'm hanging out with a guy that's in his 60s or something, they don't know how the industry works now. They don't, because now there's different avenues. There's Whatnot, there's live sales, there's this, that, and the third. You know what I mean? Like, they're used to sitting at the table, drawing a page and, mailing it in or snail mailing it, to the corporate office and getting a paycheck at the end of the day. They're not used to, they don't know anything about like remarks or anything like that. They don't know about, painting on, the actual covers and stuff and flipping them that way. They don't know how like the new system works, the new sales way. There's so many different ways to generate income through comics right now. And it's really just the younger generation that's kind of owning that.
That is interesting.
So yeah, so they're trying to get more info out of me. But then you got your older statesmen that, they're coming up to a show. They don't even have to bring anything. All their fans are bringing stuff, and they're just going to charge for a signature or whatever. You can't tell them nothing because they're being paid to be there, or vice versa. Or, everything's taken care of for them. Like, it's different, you know what I mean? But I would say it's more or less the other way around.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty unique for any industry then.
It is, but it's also infuriating, because my approach to business is to innovate and break new ground and, like I said, do the opposite of what everyone else is doing. And that's always what's worked for me. Tough Stuff has gotten a lot of traction because, one, I package it better than anyone in the independent market. I don't know anyone independently that's doing die cut covers or doing, gold foil limited runs by boxing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm always bringing something new to the table. And I can't tell you how many countless messages I've gotten where it's like, this is the coolest, packaged book, a Kickstarter I've ever gotten, like top notch all the way, da 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 da, and my story's good. So it's like, that's my approach. Catch up, The industry's not seeing it like that. They're doing everything the old-fashioned way.
It's all about the economics for them, I feel.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, they're big businesses. That's the way it goes. But like, the quality of your Tough Stuff books is like really, really good.
Exactly.
And as a consumer, a guy who loves comics, we notice that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of the, reasons that I am more liable to honestly pick up something like this than a DC or Marvel thing. As much as I love it, but the physical copy, the paper quality is just not there. And I don't know why they're doing it. Like, I mean, I guess we know it's money, but I don't know why they wouldn't want to do it
money.
Better.
It's one thing for production. It's cheaper to print, that stuff and do that. But I think also it's cheaper logistically, like shipping the books and stuff. Because, like, not to discredit Turtles, I love this. You know what I mean? I'm super happy, super proud of this. But it's so much thinner. I think this is almost the same amount of pages as Tough Stuff. But I have, like, the thicker paper stock, you know what I mean? That, and the third. So it's got to be easier and cheaper to ship a ton of these than it would be a ton of these.
Right.
For sure. Because, like, I mean, again, you think about it. Whatever, let's say you fit 500 copies of Turtles in a box, you might only fit 300
Not
of
even.
of a Tough Stuff book.
Yeah.
And those 200 Tough Stuffs probably still weighs more than the box of 500 Turtles. And so, it's definitely part of it.
Yeah.
It's a supply chain issue. But again, if you're somebody like yourself who cares about, your not only cares about your own work, but also cares about what the end user thinks of it, is it worth it? Like, I would assume yes to you, but why is it not worth it to them? Again,
I guess because they're still selling books.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I do want to talk about Tough Stuff, but I did have one question because I see the pin on your hat too.
Mm-hmm.
So were you a huge Turtles fan growing up then?
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, everyone in my generation was. Like, every kid had Turtles figures and stuff like that. And they were so cool because they had so many different, like, the variants. They had different types, you know what I mean? Like, Michael Jordan, Michelangelo, you know what I mean? Like, Spacesuit Raphael, you know what I mean? Like, there were so many different, like, oh man, that's so cool. Like, even to this day, like, I wish we had more stuff like that where it's like you could get 30 different versions of the same character, but it's like the gear's different and it's like it's neat, you know what I mean? Like, just the designs, the colorways, like, they were on fire back then. Like, that's why it's still such a hot property after 40 years.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think they realized that right at the beginning of, like, the inception of the Turtles, like the marketability of these bad boys. But, dude, I love going on Instagram and seeing the pictures of, like, all the monster figure variants and stuff like that where you got, like, Donatello as Frankenstein and things. And, you're right. Nothing else has ever really done that before.
Yeah, I mean, you had your X-Men figure run in the early 90s where they had, like, a million different flips on, like, Wolverine and Cable and stuff.
Yeah, which is cool.
Yeah, but they were serious. They weren't fun.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
This is my wheelhouse, baby. I love it,
nerds.
100%. So talking about tough stuff, and I know it has done very well on Kickstarter in the past. What is that experience like, man? Being able to get such a great response from crowdfunding.
It's just a learning experience, man. But it also goes into, like I was saying, there was that dip, 2022, 2023. There was a big dip. And, I went from thinking, I'm a professional comic artist to, I'm pretty hungry right now. You know what I mean? So, like, you definitely see the peaks and valleys of it. But yeah, as far as being successful on Kickstarter, I mean, it's awesome. I mean, I could say that on my, my resume is I have 5 successful Kickstarters under my belt, and I'll probably have 6, hopefully more. You know what I mean? It just kind of shows that the industry is always changing. I hate to say it, but, like, brick and mortars, as much as I love them, they got to find new ways to distribute and to get things because, I can push my series out my house,
Yeah.
I don't have to cut in a middleman. I don't have to sell shit on consignment. Like, if you want my book, you got to come to me and order it through me, just like you would Marvel or DC. You know what I mean? So for me, it's just making sure it stays popular. It's a quality product, and it's enjoyable. Yeah.
It's very similar to like the trends in music. I feel like people don't like necessarily need to sign like record contracts or anything these days, and I think the people who do are there's still a group of people who are at the right age where like there's still some kind of clout to that, and there's still some kind of clout to like having a book being sold in a store on a shelf the way that you went to the comic book store as a kid or something. But that generation is going to grow up, and the next generation is not going to have that nostalgia for that type of thing. So those kind of industries, like you said, the brick and mortar, unfortunately, it might go away a little bit. But they have, the communities that some of them build, I think, are pretty good,
Yeah.
and will keep them going for a while.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be a brick and mortar. It's going to be a business regardless, right? The format's just going to change. Like, there's Whatnot, right? Are you familiar with Whatnot?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I know a place, right before I came here, I was at a place where they were doing 2 simultaneous Whatnot streams at the same time, in the same building, in the same room. And, that's an entire, like, pretty much warehouse where they have product. And they're just online selling it 24/7.
Yeah.
So that changes. What matters is the product, right? What matters is the product. And that's why, like you said, you don't need a record deal to distribute music. You don't need a record deal to be a big dog. You don't need all that stuff. If anything, it's more of a hindrance, right? I'll tell you what, the big companies, they don't, I mean, if they can recognize tough stuff, they don't like it. They don't. Because I know how many units I've sold, right? That all goes to me. It's not split up. Like, their product probably sells the same amount of units, and that's divided by, like, 40, 60 people. You know what I mean? That makes me dangerous. So they don't want to give me opportunities. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because then if, let's say, they say, hey, we really want your book, well, you know what your book's worth as opposed to a brand new book that nobody's ever sold before, right?
Well, there's that, yeah, but there's also, have you noticed that, like, well, if you follow comics, they're not trying to break superstar artists anymore. They're not trying to break superstar writers. Do you know why?
Because that's always been dangerous to them.
And why is that?
Because it takes money out of their pocket if you just follow whatever the artist is doing instead of a character or a company, right?
Well, it doesn't take money out of their pocket, but it's like, why would they invest in someone that can up and leave? Yes. They're going to build their audience. But that's also how you get to that level. It's a double-edged sword. You're not going to get quality product unless you hire quality people, right? Right? But then it works both ways. You know what I mean? Because they're going to want to go somewhere else, and they're going to want to make their own money. So it's like, really, like, it's making unfair practices unreliable. You know what I mean? Like, and corporations can't function without doing that. That's why they're a corporation. They're there to suck everything out of their resources. That's how they exist. That's how they build. That's how they evolve. They don't give shit back. You know what I mean? They just take. So they're not going to give someone an opportunity to be a superstar when they can take that power and leave the company with it.
Interesting. So do you think that the artist's place in comics, I guess if we talk about it generally, maybe it's gotten better. But if we talk about it in terms of like the big two, Marvel and DC, it's gotten worse, if not just stayed the same. Maybe it's just gotten worse. Tough to say.
I don't know. I mean, who's a superstar artist at Marvel?
Don't ask me.
I don't.
That you should have an answer immediately.
Yeah, I guess you're absolutely right about that.
Right?
I could. Yeah, I mean, I feel like Andy Kubert's pretty big, but that's literally the only name I can think of off the top of my head. I can't remember the name of whoever's doing Hulk right now, but I love that shit.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I can't think of it.
Hulk is what, Nick Klein and Danny Earls. It's between the two.
I can't remember.
I'm right.
Yeah, I'm sure you are.
I mean, Andy Kubert's a staple, though. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like that's comic royalty.
Right.
Wherever he goes, you know what I mean? He's gonna be top dog.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You didn't say John Romita Jr. was doing Spider-Man, did Spider-Man. Huge run. I mean, I would argue that he's a superstar artist,
Yeah.
but it didn't come to your head. You know what I mean?
I'll admit I got a little nervous on the spot right there. I started to sweat a little bit.
Greg, but he made his bones 40 years ago. You know what I mean?
True.
Same with Andy Kubert.
Yeah.
And the next would be Greg Capullo, who's doing Wolverine as well, and he started 40 years ago. Where's the new people? You know, Nick Klein is great, but they're not giving him. Nick Klein should be a bigger name. You know, Ryan Stegman just did X-Men. Maybe he should be a bigger name. I think he's a big name, but they're not like I loved his Venom run. I did Vanish because I loved his artwork. You know what I mean?
Now let me ask you this, because in my mind there's a little bit then of a juxtaposition with artists and writers. I mean, because maybe these guys who are coming to mind, I don't know, but they have been around for a long time. Like Benjamin Percy, Zeb Wells. Again, whoever is writing Hulk, which unfortunately, again, I can't remember their name off the top of my head.
Philip Kennedy Johnson.
Yes. Thank you. Damn. So I've just whatever. Makes me very happy. Yeah, and honestly, all the other names I'm coming up with, like, Jason Aaron, for example, been around for a long time.
Yeah.
And those are writers or artists?
Those are writers.
Yeah.
I mean, Jason Aaron is a superstar.
100%.
He's doing Turtles. He's doing Absolute Superman.
Yeah.
And he's doing something else big for Marvel. I've never seen an artist do 3 different number one, properties, 3 different companies at the same time. Like that's pretty crazy. Yeah, actually was just with Jason Aaron over the weekend.
Oh, he was at Terrificon?
Yeah. So was Benjamin Percy and Philip Kennedy Johnson.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get out to a lot of cons myself.
Yeah.
I really want to make that change. But when you go and you're at your booth signing stuff, have you had people come up who have donated to your Kickstarters and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
What's that like?
It's pretty cool. It's interesting. Actually, at Terrificon, it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday show. Before the doors, I want to say around the time the doors open on Friday, I had already sold like 3 or 4 books, and a guy came up to me and he had a copy of Tough Stuff 1. He's like, I bought this from my LCS. Can you sign it for me? I was like, sick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that's pretty cool, but that wasn't even through the Kickstarter. That was when that got published. Yeah. So that's pretty neat, I guess. But yeah, no, I've definitely, I've been doing this so long. I've definitely built a fan base. You know what I mean? I definitely have a large support system, and it's not just here, and it's not just like the East Coast. It's like all over. Like I ship to like London or England. I ship to Australia. Like I ship to, Canada. Like I have different hubs. So it's pretty sick. Makes me want to just focus more on tough stuff than trying to work within the industry, because I'm not getting told no. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not getting pushback. I'm not saying, hey, you can't do that. Fuck, I can't. What do you mean? You know what I mean? I don't have to worry about that stuff.
Yeah.
So what is the future going to look like? Because I feel like you're not the first guy to have that kind of attitude. I feel like people have, for lack of a better term, I guess, rallied against the establishment in the past, and it's worked out for a lot of guys in a lot of ways. But now with the digital tools and stuff, maybe it can take the real jump that the image guys like wanted to take back in the day, or even like Neil Adams way back when. I guess what I'm asking, and maybe this is a big question, but like, is this going to work?
What do you mean?
Like, people completely doing their own things. Is this going to work more than it has before?
That kind of depends on the person, right? I don't think you can do that in a generalized statement. I do know, like, there's people that are way more successful than me on Kickstarter and Indiegogo and stuff like that. Like, they Zoop, you know what I mean? Whatever your platform is. I think it makes publishers scared. I think, like, that's why I was saying how you don't really have your, like, top tier young superstar artists anymore, because they're kind of doing their own thing. Right?
Gotcha.
And, you know, whether they're represented by an agency or by themselves, it's up to them to, you know, really push their own future and forge it the way they want to see fit. It's a really tough industry, man, and it's, you know, it's a lot of ass kissing, and it's who you know, and da 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 da. It's really annoying, because as an artist, to be told your artwork isn't good enough, and then you see shit that's published that looks like dog shit, and you're like, are you kidding me? Like, yeah. What is that?
It sucks.
You know what I mean? It's a fucking knife in your heart. I don't want to sound bitter, because I'm actually in a great place. So I know, like, there's different things I've said. It's just the realism of the scenario. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't do it if I didn't love it, because as many times, like I said, I get shot down more than I get approved. You know what I mean? But when you get approved, it's great. And when you have a great show, it's even better. It's like the best feeling. You know what I mean? And luckily for me, I'm coming off of, you know, 6, you know, back-to-back weekends where I'm crushing it. You know what I mean? And you can't tell me shit. And the reason why is because I gambled on myself. I bet on myself, and I'm trying to put myself in position to continuously win. And I don't like taking no for an answer. So when I get no, I'm like, I get furious. Dude, I'm not going to lie. I'm like, oh, I worked too hard to get here. Like, no is not going to happen. Like, but, you know, now I got to convince some big corporation that no's not in my vocabulary, and you're not going to put that on me. So now it's like, now I got to think even harder to try to get around that. Because I like a roadblock it's a pestilence to me. It's not going to derail me. It's not going to stop me. You know what I mean? The train's still going.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
And you don't need to go down that road anymore that has those obstacles. You can create your own road. That's what you've been doing.
Yeah, but once I reach out and I don't get what I want, then I'm pissed. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it's like, I kind of wanted to do that. Like, why isn't this just happening? Like, what are we doing here? You know, like, are you dumb? Like, what are we? You know what I mean? And my ass, I can't take it lightly. I take it personally.
I mean, that's that fire that's keeping you going.
Yeah, but I don't want to be pissed all the time. I want to be happy.
Interesting.
But
that's a tough thing to balance,
yeah,
man.
Right.
I don't know.
So to your point, and I think, Andy, to tie back into your initial question that got us here, is like, how does it work in terms of, I guess, are a lot of people more trying to go like the freelance cover route as opposed to signing with like one specific organization to draw the same book over and over, or to each his own kind of thing? Like,
I couldn't tell you, man. I don't know. I think it's, if I knew that, you know what I mean? Fuck, man. I think people go to SCAD and figure out their quirky little cartoon style, and they kiss ass and get a management deal, and the next thing you know, they're drawing some boring ass book no one gives a fuck about, and it gets published for a while, and then it stops getting published, and they fall off the face of the earth because they don't have the fucking skills that you learned from failing constantly to up your game.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So I see that a lot too. So I think it's a balance of that. For me, I'm just too stubborn. Like, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and you know, I can't. Like, it sucks because, like, you know, you get upset, but you can't burn a bridge, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, And you got to get like a lawyer involved, and that shit sucks too.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, that's got to be real tough,
That
man.
sucks.
I feel like I'd just be exploding on people like all the time.
Aside from, I mean, this is a dumb question. I already know it, but aside from drawing, like, are you a pretty big like comic collector or reader, like on the side, or?
I used to be. I literally don't have time, so all I do is draw. Draw and draw.
Yeah. Draw, see what other people are drawing too, probably. Right?
I don't even want to do that. I don't want to. If you ever see me at a convention, I don't leave my booth.
Like, you don't go around and you're not walking around.
I'll go out. I'll go to the bathroom. You know, I might go outside and, you know, and then that's it. I'm at my table the entire time. I'm talking to people. I'm telling jokes. I'm drawing. I'm remarking. I don't usually. I should just be drawing the entire time.
Yeah.
I mean, but that might affect sales if I'm not, you know,
being personable to a sense. Yeah.
But I should just be drawing the entire time. Like at Terrificon, I had a sponsor, right? And anytime I stopped drawing, he was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Taking a break." Nah, man, just draw. he's like, "What? You don't have a commission to work on?" I'm like, I do. Well, work on it. Okay. I'd be like, "Okay, I finished commission." I'm like, you know, take a break. Hey, man, I got something you could draw if you want. You know, you want to make some money. I'm like, Jesus. All right, yeah. Like the entire, but it worked though. It worked. I did very well this weekend. So thank you.
And
son advice.
And how does that work? Like, you're drawing, and then people there are buying like the drawings that you're doing live, or whoever that sponsor is taking them and, you know, using them or selling them on the side. Like, how does that process go?
I come through with 4 full portfolios.
Gotcha.
And then I have like 3 different racks of books that I've done, including variant covers, tough stuff. I'll bring like, I don't know, some sketch covers I do. Yeah. And then commissions on top of that. And, you know, people commission me to do something on the spot, or, you know, best bet is if you want to get a commission from an artist, contact them before the show or like the first day of the show, so they actually have time to do it.
Yeah.
Because nobody wants to be rushed into doing something cool like last minute. I mean, I do it because I like money and it's my job. But like, it's just, you'll get a way better product if you give them some time to do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And I didn't mean to shit on SCAD, by the way. I think it's a great art school. I know I said some, but I'm just saying, like, I've seen a lot of people that they'll get like a book deal or something. They'll do like one series and then you never see them again.
Yeah. Well, because they take that, you know, I'm sure they take what they learn and they just assume that's going to ride them out. They're not sitting down, drawing nonstop, practicing, you know, finding different avenues, you know, like you said, even going back to turtles, like using emotion in what you're drawing. They're just drawing based off what they were taught, right? Yeah. You got to have, you know, it's good to learn fundamentals, and then you got to have the ability to actually, you know.
Yeah, I think a lot of people probably get out of school and they're like, well, that's the work. School was the work. I'm done with the work, so now I can just do this or whatever. Mm-hmm. Obviously not the case. Mm-hmm. That's clearly benefited you, though, because you know that you got to be boots on the ground constantly, drawing nonstop. And it's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome.
It is.
No, it is. No, I love it. And, you know, I got so much stuff in the hopper that, like, I always have something cool to drop. Like, I understand dropping content consistently is a good way to maintain your fan base and to get more people. That's why, like I said, do the weekly draw stream. Yeah. But there's so much stuff you don't know behind the scenes too. Like, I'll just say it. I had a commission for Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader, right? So I did young Luke, old Luke, Jedi in between, the lightsaber splitting it.
Yeah.
Young Anakin, Darth Vader. Sent it off for the customer. Guy sends me a picture like 2 days later. It's signed by Mark Hamill and Hayden Christensen.
No shit.
Yeah. I'm like, fuck, that's so cool.
That's awesome.
That's so cool. You know what I mean? So, that's just, like, one thing. But, like, I've got so many different things.
Yeah.
You know?
That's awesome, though. Andy,
Yeah.
before we go too long, we should do Who Would Win of the Week.
Yeah, we'll do the who would win real quick, and then we'll let you get out of here, Kev. But
Sorry, I just have like a million.
no, no
Phone's
sweat,
been going
no
off
sweat,
for a
man.
Sure.
time.
The who would win of the week this week: Patrick Starr versus Waylon Smithers. A couple of famous sidekicks going on here. Patrick, as dumb as he is, I feel like he's pretty strong. Especially like you live under a rock, like you have to have some kind of like physical fortitude. Smithers, maybe he's not as physically apt, but I feel like the guy's got heart. I feel like there's moments in The Simpsons where you see him step up to the plate, and obviously he's like been a closeted gay man for like 35 years. Like he's no stranger to hard times, right? So when it comes to going toe to toe with Patrick, I think he might surprise some people.
Yeah, my thing with Smithers is, as much as maybe he doesn't want to do it, I feel like he's become accustomed from working under Mr. Burns for so long to like doing really horrible stuff, like burying body type stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I'm sure when he first started, he didn't want to do it, and he might still resist, but I think at this point he's probably buried so many bodies he doesn't even feel the same emotion, right? He just does it without even like.
Yeah.
It's just another. You know what I mean?
He's
It's just
buried,
another one.
He's buried his moral compass.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, for
So
sure.
I think that plays a huge role, and he does get pissed, I feel like, at times.
Oh, yeah.
Like, and he gets like really mad, which, I think just Patrick Starr being as dumb as he is would piss Smithers off, like into wanting to try to kick his ass.
So Patrick Starr is basically Lenny from Of Mice and Men.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
That's a 1-to-1 comparison
And
for sure.
on a physicality rate, bigger, stronger, most likely. However, and this is, I believe, the deciding factor. Don't starfish regenerate?
I was
They lose
keeping
a
that
limb?
one in my back pocket, but I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, like
Isn't that? I think that's all you need to know. This is Hulk versus Tony Stark, but the Hulk just keeps regenerating.
yeah. I'm happy that you said that. I was keeping that in my back pocket for when Andy started defending Smithers. I was going to be
Which
like,
I
well,
was
how,
getting
I was
ready
going to be like,
to.
how are you going to kill? What are you going to do? Cut his? I mean, they just keep regenerating.
And I
good
feel
point.
like, Patrick Starr just has that inner fury, which Smithers might, but it's not on the same level.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think Patrick Starr is probably more inept to be stronger than he even realizes. Lenny comparison again and beat the shit out of Smithers. And Smithers I don't think would go down without a fight, but I think eventually Smithers would just give up.
I think he'd run out of steam.
Smithers doesn't maybe quite have as much of a will to live because of all the battering that he's been through in life.
Interesting.
Whereas Patrick, one, doesn't know better, and two, like, what are you gonna do?
I think Smithers is too apathetic to formulate a strategy.
Yeah. Yep. I can see that. Well, because
yes.
he never doesn't have to.
And that's the smartest statement I think I've ever made in my life.
Well, he doesn't have to because
No.
again, Mr. Burns is essentially telling him what to do all the time.
Yeah.
He just has to execute. Nobody's going to be there, telling him to put the dogs on Patrick. He's going to have to figure out that he's, how to do that himself. And
I do think if Smithers is going to run into this fight, guns blazing, it is going to be in kind of a blind rage, just like trying to hit whatever he can. And, I think he's just going to run out of steam. And Patrick, mentally, despite perhaps his IQ is lacking, but no matter what mood he's in, I think he's got the mental edge. If he's, in more of a rage than Smithers, he's got it. If he's into, like, his passive Patrick state of mind, he's not even going to care what's going on, so he's still going to win.
And
he's so dumb you can't beat him.
and not only that, like, not only does he regenerate because he's a starfish, but also his pain tolerance, we assume, is incredibly high because he's always doing stupid shit.
I mean, doesn't he literally like put a nail through his head?
He does at one point.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, you guys have totally turned me around. I hate to say it.
I will say this, though. To be fair, I mean, Patrick Starr could probably, get captured in like a fishing net.
Oh, yeah.
Smithers might find his way out of that.
Yeah, I was saying not even you could capture him with anything.
I'm gonna play devil's
just a
advocate
box.
here. Smithers is basically Guillermo from What We Do in the Shadows, who is proved to be very, very, very skilled at living and thriving and surviving and getting out of sticky situations.
That's a
hard to kill. Hermit crab style.
I wish Smithers versus Guillermo
Ooh.
would be. I wish you watch What We Do in the Shadows, because that is a fight to see.
Yes.
But Guillermo's got that Van Helsing blood, baby. You know what I mean?
go.
That's on his side. And honestly, that is what kicks in his natural ability and
Correct.
gets him out of scrapes constantly, where Smithers doesn't have that. That's the one difference I would say between the two. Smithers doesn't have that extra gear biologically.
He does have a Malibu Stacy collection that's unrivaled, so
For what it's worth, 100%. For what it's worth.
I don't know if that makes him a good fighter, but
Could be. Some of those dolls, are pretty rare.
One of my favorite cars in Simpsons Hit and Run.
This is the Malibu Stacy
Stacy.
car.
you gotta be a certain type of person though, like to put up with Mr. Burns 24/7 to wait on that man.
Well, he
like,
loves them.
Yeah.
I get that, but like, man, that's a formidable trait that I don't possess.
But I think that's why. No offense to the guy, but that's why I have the suspicion that if he gets in this fight, at some point he might realize he just doesn't have the will to dig his way out, because he's like, what am I going back to get yelled at by Mr. Burns again?
I think he likes it.
Yeah, he does. He does like that. I mean, I agree that he is going to run out of steam.
But there's times where he's like, like, again, like, this is what I'm doing.
I mean, only in the Who Shot Mr. Burns episode.
Is this coming down to a coin flip?
I mean, I'm taking Patrick
I
Star.
think it's Pat. Yeah, I still
Yeah.
think it's Pat. I mean, Smithers, I feel like for whatever good point we can come up with for Smithers, Patrick still has a way to beat it.
And he
Ferocity,
regenerates.
tenacity.
And he regenerates.
And I like, yeah. So I'm taking Patrick Star.
Yeah. I didn't expect it. I hate to go against a Simpsons character, but I got to pick Patrick.
Cool.
We'll lock him in.
Are you going Patrick as well?
Yeah.
All right. 3-0 clean sweep. That was this week's Win of the Week. Vote on that on Instagram. Patrick Star versus Smithers. Before we get out of here, you mentioned a little bit before we did the Who'd Win about doing the weekly Instagram lives and drawing and stuff on there. So I guess one, how scheduled is that? Like, and then two, where can people go find it?
It's every Tuesday at 9 p.m. on my Instagram at solstice_art. Every Tuesday at 9 Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, that doesn't change. That's what it is, and I've maintained it the entire year. I think I missed 1 week, and that was when I got married. So
Fair enough.
You want to plug any con dates or anything you got coming up?
yeah,
Signings?
sure. Next up, I will be at this Saturday, which this probably.
No, this comes out tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Saturday, I'll be in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania for the inaugural Ed Piskor Comic Con. We lost Ed Piskor this April. So that'll be cool to go out to that. Then in September 13th through 15th, I'll be in Rochester for Flower City Con. I might be at New York City Con, still hammering that down. And in November, I will be out in Fishkill, New York at Icon. And I think that's kind of it for the year for me. I believe I did over 30 different cons this year. And I think I went to 70 different cities this year. Wow. 4 or 5 different countries.
That has got to be
25 different states.
That's got to be a very cool little perk that maybe you didn't expect when you started.
There's pros and cons to traveling.
Well, remember, I used
course,
to
but
rap
that's
too,
cool.
though. So I've already toured. I've been doing I've had the travel bug my whole adult life. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, definitely more with comics, and it's way more enjoyable for me. But yeah, it's a lot of traveling. Yeah.
And then what about if people are interested in the tough stuff, books and stuff like that? Is there anywhere they can go to find out about that?
Yeah, just follow me on social media. Like I said, my Instagram is at solstice_art. I do have a web store. It's Solstice Art Publishing .bigcartel.com. Right now, I only have Turtles and Dick Tracy on there. I'm probably gonna revamp it at some point and put like a shit ton of stuff on there. But yeah, the best bet is to follow me on Instagram, and then on Facebook, I have a group called Solstice Art, the Art of Kevin Delgado. That's like my fan group page. That's where I'll drop like exclusives, and like I might just pull out like a random book out of my vault, like something super rare, and I'll just throw it on there like, hey, 101, here you go. First person to claim it gets it. So I would follow that because that's where I'm going to drop a lot of exclusive stuff first, and I'll let it, linger there. If it doesn't work out there, then I'll take it to Instagram or whatever. Those are my two main things. Facebook, it's Delgado space Kevin. That's my personal account, but I post a lot of stuff there too. I do a website. It's kevindelgado.co. I got to update it more. I push the web store more than that.
Gotcha.
But there's links to everything through each venue.
Perfect.
I'm on X, but I don't really do much on there. It's whatever.
Yeah. Twitter.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thanks for the translation.
Yeah.
I knew that one though.
Okay. I didn't know. You had a look in your eyes. Because still, I still don't always remember. But
the third one.
Yeah. But awesome. Thank you so much for coming on and bringing this stuff. Definitely check that out on social media. Andy, you got any more?
No, we just appreciate you. Appreciate you talking with us, dude.
Pick up some tough stuff.
Pick up some tough stuff.
And new tough stuff Kickstarter announcement coming soon.
Let's go, baby.
And I got a pretty sick cover artist for one of the variants.
Cool.
Like top cover artist.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. So check that out. Yeah. Make sure you follow the social media, folks. That's where you're going to find it.
All right, cool.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you again, Andy. I love you.
Love you too. Let's get out of here. Thanks, folks.